this looks like a LeMond. Wait a second. It's a LeMond, all right. A Poprad, a cyclocross bike from LeMond. The OX Platinum chromoly tubing. And if you are into the feel of steel and looking for a gravel bike, this is quite a unique gem. But if I bought this, what would if you bought this? How much would it cost you to get this thing up and rolling and safe to ride after this? Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin, the guy. Obviously, I have a garage shop. Taking scary how to use bikes one bike at a time. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy with this old bike series. Hey, I am Justin, the guy, and this is a Poprad. If you bought this, what would it cost you to get this up and rolling? Is it a gem right out of the gate, or are you gonna have to put some stuff into it? Let's just review this real quick. What is a Poprad? Well, what is a cross bike? Well, what is a LeMond? Well, let's go over that first. Number one, a cyclocross bike is a bike that was designed over the years of an event that's almost 100 years old. And it started off as a late in the season road race. And the idea was to have a circuit where you get off your bike and you run with your bike to warm back up so you don't freeze your fingers and toes off like they did back in the turn of the century, and get back on your bike and ride. Well, today it is a circuit type race, a course, and it's based off of time, like 30 minutes, and it's a great whatever. Lost for words today. But anyway, it's a great sport to watch in person because you can see these people, and the worse the weather is, the better it is, and more fun it is for the actual racers. They look forward to it. It's like a mudsling fest. It's where the road bike and mountain bike world collides, and this has been very popular within the 80s and 90s and now the 2000s. So the cyclocross bike has always been one of those bikes that's been in a bike line for the last 30 years from like Trek and Specialized and so forth. But they only made like one model or so. Well, what's branched off in the last, I would say, the last 8 years is the gravel bike, right? So this was the granddaddy of the gravel bike. They still make various versions of this, but this particular one is made by LeMond, and this is like in the mid-2000s, probably 2006 or 2005, and he was known for his nicer steel frame. So if you like the ride of steel and you're looking for a cyclocross bike, this is the guy to look for. They're very hard to find. They're a unicorn, and it was like a lucky find for me. The guy did not list it or what have you. It's from the original owner. So therefore, looking into this bike, I have one personally. That's why I'm kind of excited about this. I know this bike really well, intimately, by riding my version of it all the time. So the Poprad, cyclocross. Okay, we covered with cyclocross. LeMond, he's the first American to win a Tour de France in the 80s. So this is a great kind of novelty type bike, but these usually take a little bit of a beating in a sense. So seeing this one in this pristine condition is pretty favorable. But with my professional eye, I know right off the bat there's a lot of bits on this thing that are not original. I asked the owner of it, like, did you just get the frame and custom build it? He said no, and he's just swapped out parts over time. But what turns out is it pretty much swapped out almost all the parts. Only thing I can see that's original on it is the shifters and maybe the front and rear derailleur and the brakes. Everything else, the wheel set is not OEM, the fork is not. And he said his chattered, the Bontrager one, which, think about it, mine kind of chatters on a descent too. But he went with a Winwood, which is a really nice fork. So it's not really a downgrade by any means. He also went with a little bit wider range of gearing. The cyclocross is like really tight in the two chain rings. This one's a little more opened up for kind of like more of the gravel type riding, which is actually perfect for this particular bike. For somebody to get into road riding or gravel bike. This is more lean to that gravel bike geometry and fit. Also, when it has the linear pull brakes on this, some are canty, but they do have the wide design, so you get those wider tires like a 32 or 34 for that fun gravel riding experience. So what else is OEM? Not much. It's specialized bar and stem. Well, LeMonds are made by Trek, so that's not going to happen. Also has a specialized carbon seat post, which has the Zerts, which is actually a softer ride on that. I talked about the cranks already. And the wheel set, well, this came with those Bontrager paired wheel sets where I've had issues with them before. So they usually crack on the drive side. His did too. He replaced it with some decent Alex wheels. So you got yourself a really decent bike. It does have some upgrades on it for sure. So let's just dive into this real quick and see how much it would cost to get this thing going. Besides having the tune-up and possibly cables and housing, since I did buy this off of a tech, I'm expecting not too much to need to be done on this, but I noticed right off the bat the front hub is kind of grindy, which means it just most likely needs to be replaced. So brake pads seem to be fine on that. Let's check out the rear. Also, I like to dump it into the smallest cog, like so. And it does have the Bontrager skewers, which is kind of ironic. And the rear hub feels good. The cassette, it's a 9-speed. So mine was a 10-speed, so I think it's like a year before mine, which is no problem with it, no problem at all. Let's check this chain. Oh, yeah, I would say the chain needs to be replaced. Yeah, we're at 0.75, which possibly that cassette might need to be replaced as well. But let's take this chain off real quick and the components on this as well. It does have a quick link, which makes it a little bit easier. I do save the chain for measurement purposes, so I don't toss it immediately. Get this quick link off, or power link, whichever brand it is. Oh, let's just get this guy off. Whoop, like so. All right. Did have fenders on it, which I don't think I'll keep these on there. So that's something I might save for a different bike. It's just a little extra. I mean, if you're commuting, sure, but I don't know about that. And the cables and housing, I'm definitely going to replace on this guy here. So they need to be a little bit longer, and the housing probably needs to be replaced. Plus I want to get to good looking of this componentry. I don't want to lose my donut. And these have specific, also what I'm going to be adding to this, which is missing, is these little, we call them cheater brakes. These little guys here. And I do, yeah, these are a 31/8, so they give you another little brake right here, which is kind of nice. So an extra little feather brake, which pretty much all cyclocross bikes have. I do have it on mine too, that kind of thing. So let's just take a peek here. And what I'm doing is I'm stripping it down to the frame mostly, so I can kind of inspect it, make sure there's no questionable parts that are been damaged on the frame. Because, you know, the frame and fork, if the frame is damaged, you basically have a box of parts. And sometimes, I mean, this is a steel frame, but if it's a carbon, it can be repaired. If it's aluminum, it cannot. So those things you got to be kind of mindful of when you're looking at a used bike, for sure. But since this bike was extremely clean, and also these were made in the United States too, so these were being manufactured in Waterloo, Wisconsin, under the Trek umbrella. Granted, it was LeMond's geometry and also steel tubing. And this is a True Temper OX Platinum, which is actually the same frame as mine. Not super light, but has a lively feel to it. And the componentry on this is just, or the geometry on it was just, fits me like a glove, that kind of thing. So we'll take a peek. It does have Sora cranks, but these are a decent crank set. And it is an upgrade or newer, let's say, versus the older, and definitely will get a lot of life on it. And the teeth are definitely not worn down by any means, because it is a newer version. So when that chain being stretched, I'm not really overly concerned that the crank needs to be replaced at all by any, at least by the chain rings themselves. Drop the tool, there we go. Pop the crank. Oh. A little more oomph to that. There we go. And these did come with bottom brackets, so the bottom bracket is probably fairly new and smooth, so we're good there. All right, I got to the point where the brake's going to be a little more of a challenge to take apart, so for time reasons, I'm just going to give it a, got enough exposed to really see what I'm diving into and see if what it's going to cost. Oh, Matt. All right. Nothing obstructed. Mine accidentally wiped out and bent the frame a little bit, but it was able to bend it back. Expecting the tubes here. I do really use thin tubing for the steel, which is kind of a cool classic look to it for sure. And the fork, since that's a little bit newer, man, there's not hardly any scuffs or scrapes on this. He did say he didn't ride it hardly at all, and he did not ride it as a cyclocross. So, did not jump off trails or dirt, and matter of fact, he has slicks on there, which was mainly for road. So he did have the original knobby tires, which I'm going to put those on there because whoever's going to be getting this is going to want that. Is that a little bit of scratch there, but most likely from just garage dings, that kind of thing. And yeah, my bike is also white, which, you know, a little bit harder to keep clean. That's all. Not bad, but when they do get cleaned, woo, they are stellar. All right, let's check the underbelly. Make sure we're not come across anything scary underneath all this. Well, serial number still intact. Man, no scuffage. Mine has like wear marks from dirt and mud. So on this guy, we are definitely a gem. All right, I think it's good. I'm pretty sure the wheels will turn out well too. One thing I found that needs to be replaced is the chain. Do some cables and housing work. So you're looking at $50. The bar tape's actually still in pretty good shape, so I might be able to salvage that. Pedals, that's probably, if you're going to do platform pedals, let's say 20. So you're under, with cables and housing and chain, you're under $100. And getting this bike, whatever you may find one of these at, which the ones I've seen are around the $400 to $500 range, that still gets you into a nice, with a tune-up, let's say, maybe a $200, $150, let's just say $150 tune-up on this one. So you're in it probably about $250-ish for parts and labor. And maybe if you're lucky, $300 to $400, let's say $300. So yeah, about $600 to $750 for a bike like this. Still under $1,000. You're not going to find anything in the new market, especially gravel, for that price. And the $700 bike, that's a gravel bike that you can blaze on the trails or anywhere in this condition, pretty clean. It's stellar. I've seen these bikes go on eBay for over $1,000. So they just keep you comprised of that. So this is definitely a good one. And shoot, yeah, for $600-700, you're gonna have a bike that's gonna last you a long, long time. And these things are very solid. But anywho, yeah, after I've done all my magic to it, check out the final results after this.